All right, here we are.
Welcome to the Genesee County Compassion Club show.
Woo, here we do. That's right.
'Tis the season.
Coming to you from flinttalkradio.com, here in the proud city of Flint.
Proud city, that's good. Proud city.
Yeah. The land
I'm
of
proud to be
entitlement.
from Flint. I made it like I'm alive.
Home of the EBT.
Like the gauntlet.
Yeah.
I'm born here. I'm still here. I left to come back, but I'm still here.
The labyrinth of larceny.
It should be the lot. Yeah. Our motto. I heard they're trying to burn down like 180 houses around here or whatever before Devil's Night.
Really?
Yeah, they're like making a push, trying to tear down a bunch of.
Is this
I don't
like
know
a-
if it's in Flint or in Detroit. Somebody was talking about it.
Is this
but
like
it's around here
a
close.
civil thing? Like citizens just lighting the torch? Or?
Yeah, somebody they gathered like $20,000, and some people said that's what it would take. So they're taking the 20 G's.
Oh, okay. Like
tearing down houses.
it's not just like, oh, we're gonna go burn the place down. It's
No, they're
it's
like pushing
actually-
them in, I think, and
Oh,
trying to make them.
Well, I know that they just had that federal grant come through, and they started doing demolition on blighted homes.
That might be like their piece, and that's what they're gonna do.
Okay, because I know that I saw some photos in the paper on that. It looked like they were using like heavy equipment, to tear it down. They weren't just burning it to the ground.
Right. Yeah.
So, hopefully, I don't. Obviously, I'd like to see some of the vacant homes, the ones that are no good anymore, taken care of. You know what I mean? They're
a bunch.
dangerous.
Yep.
Kind of rat holes, for lack of a better term. It's the truth.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want to see them go down in flames.
Neither do I. That's why they're trying to get rid of
Unless the
them.
fire department's,
Yeah.
right there conducting it or something.
But if they get it done, apparently there's 180 houses that won't be able to be burned on Devil's Night. So that's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
But I thought it was kind of interesting that they're making like a big 2-week push to try to get it done before Devil's Night.
I can understand. I mean, it's definitely, I would think with all the blighted homes in the Flint area, that's definitely a concern for the police and fire departments.
Yeah, save them some future work.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want the neighbor's house that's, people living in it being affected.
Right.
You know what I mean? Insurance companies be going crazy. No. Definitely a concern. I know that Detroit, obviously Detroit and Saginaw, them included, got the same issues going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I was amazed at how much money they were talking about was needed to demolish some of these homes. I mean, they had like 200-300 homes listed that they were going to try to tear down here, and they had like $20-some million appropriated for this.
Right.
I'm thinking like
It's about $4,000 a piece, I guess, to tear down a house. $3,000 to $4,000, I was told. Which is, I think that's probably kind of high for tearing something down.
Well, they got 20 grand. They're tearing down 180 of them.
Well, that's quite a bit.
cheap.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, that's
maybe that's just the burn down fee. They don't
Right.
take care of the rubble.
there's parts in the east side now that I grew up around seeing. Now you can see from Franklin almost all the way down to like Iowa that there's nothing in there on there.
No.
It's
Yeah.
just kind of sad,
It's real sad. Yeah, it used to be really nice.
Yeah, this is great. It was a great little neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
We had like probably 10,000-15,000 people in here. It was like
Wow.
a city,
There's a lot of
It's
people.
like Fallout now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Flint's got a lot less people living in it now than it did 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Thanks, GM.
Thanks for moving out. Yeah. Well, it is kind of sad to see it all go, but I mean, it's definitely going to be better once you get these homes cleaned up and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. I mean, I think that's a good progression. Shoot, you got a lot of people that are having trouble finding something to eat. Now they could have a lot next to them. Maybe they could grow something for themselves and have a little community garden. I know that's quite a
That is positive.
big part of the planning commission and so forth. They're talking about trying to revitalize, revamp, reuse some of the property here.
Like my friend Chris Rosenkrantz says, a few more houses in each block. You can always, when you go to sell your house, you can list it in a park-like setting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's serious. I mean, some of these people are really doing well by taking those lots over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting mall-out buildings on them and doing a lot of gardening. So it's pretty. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything to do better.
Absolutely. Well, we got some good stuff going on down at the club. I know that we've got some events coming up here. One of them is making me hungry. I know that.
Yeah, it's been a little chilly outside, too.
It goes along with the weather. We have our upcoming Genesee County Compassion Club Chili Cook-Off. That's coming up here on November 2nd, which is a Saturday. There's different categories. So you might want to take a look at the rules there at the club, find out like what kind of chili you want to enter.
I think I'm getting in this one.
Yeah.
I think we'll put the time in. Really do the work. Make it a 5-day effort.
Yeah, I was blown away to find out that last year they had the different rules for the chili, and that traditional chili does not have beans in it.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Weird. It seems like, on the prairie, like they would have beans rather than meat or just tomato. I mean, what was it? Just like tomato
Just
paste
meat,
and
tomato,
whatever, some rabbit, whatever, some prairie dogs, whatever you could find.
right?
Ground up that prairie dog. Put it on chili tonight.
I thought that chili had to have beans in it. Like I thought that
Yeah.
that's the way to go. I guess not.
But interesting. I remember Chad's chili last year. It was really good. It was very interesting. I'd never tasted anything like that, but it was really good.
So we had like 7 or
voted for
8
it.
different entries last year, and I thought all of them were really good.
Yeah, they were.
I was amazed. We got some killer cooks at the club.
Yep, I was sweating a little bit. Had all my samples going. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And I know it's like the most grotesque, unhealthiest form of chili, but the hobo chili, it's just like the Hormel chili in a bag of Fritos. I mean,
like the walking chili pie or whatever. You just get the Fritos, cut off the top of the bag.
Yep.
Put the little chili blob in there, some
Yeah.
cheese, good to go.
I love it. I think it's good stuff.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring a bunch of Fritos. We're gonna have Frito pie.
Dude, I'll be down on that shit.
All
I
right,
love
I'm
that
great.
stuff.
Frito pie. I'm calling it. Don't nobody else do it now.
You use Fritos as like a proper bean to carcinogen ratio.
Yep.
Carcinogen
Keeps you
chili.
moving.
You can throw a dab in there, mix it up a little bit. There you go.
Yeah. Medicated chili. We should have a separate entry for that. Have another little table.
Yeah.
Have a green table off to the side.
Green chili.
The medicated. Yeah.
That'd be tasty.
Now I'm hungry and want a medicated.
Beans and buds.
We got a whole new theme for next year.
Yeah, well, if
Good.
you want to enter, everybody's welcome. Club members, and go down to the club, find out what categories there are, and then you can figure out, what one you want to try to enter to win. I know there's going to be some prizes, and of course, it'll just be a good time by all the members and good day to come out to the club. Obviously, You can
Now, does the
killer
chili
food.
cook? Does the chili cook-off and all that stuff end? Probably, maybe, hopefully, real soon before the the chili kicks in and it gets kind of really hard to be, in
Around
company.
each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on Saturdays it closes at 6. It gives you enough time to start the digestion process, and then you can go home and bomb your family.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we only have 2 restrooms there, so I mean, feel free to go home if you get the earning and churning.
But you have a good draw fan, and you also have some and a good
Yeah.
circulation system, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
air
good air
circulation.
freshener as well.
Bring in some extra Febreze or
Hey,
something.
go across the Kroger's,
have
get all that
candles.
stuff.
I gotta tell you, I was just watching the Febreze commercial the other day. They have like some kind of a dog or something like that, and they pull out like the dog's towel or whatever out of its cage. Obviously it's gonna be gross or whatever, but I mean you can only imagine. You get a towel in the dog's pen. They pull it out and they're like spraying it down with Febreze, and then they hand it back to the owners and they're like, "Here, smell this. It smells so fresh and clean." And I was just thinking to myself, like, aren't those like terpenes in there, like put there for your own safety so that you don't go rubbing some fecal infested towel on your face or on your hands or something, and it'd be like, well, it smells clean.
So clean.
Yeah, really. They take them into like the house that's like got rats and trash everywhere. And we've got them blindfolded, and they're like, "You're where do you think you're at?" And they're like, "Are we at a floral health spa? It smells so good." Like I think those things are there for your own good.
Yeah.
Like,
Go away from these places. That's what the smell is there for.
they lift up
Warning.
the couch cushion, and there's like a box of like rotting food underneath the cushion. Like
Febreze goes all.
I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea. Just mask the smell. Don't clean it.
What's their motto? Live like shit. Buy Febreze.
They need a new model or something like that.
Do whatever you want. Just have Febreze.
I don't know. I just think it's a bad idea. If it smells that bad, you need to clean. I think that's it's there for your own good.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they'll be like crop dusting cows with Febreze.
Where do you think you are? Standing on the cow patty.
Yeah.
This has to be a laundry
I must
sir.
be at a tulip festival. I don't know, a bad idea. I vote that no.
Giving people the wrong idea, yeah. When companies come, you shouldn't just grab the Febreze. That shouldn't be your first instinct, to grab the Febreze and cover the stink. Like, clean your house.
Yeah, whatever happened to like a mop and a bucket and a vacuum cleaner and I don't know. Bad idea. Bad.
I'm gonna start calling my friends and ask if they have Febreze before I come over. Think about coming over, but I need to make sure you have Febreze.
Well, like now, if I walk into somewhere and it smells all fresh and clean, I'm gonna be suspect to like,
Right.
what are you trying to hide? You know, like
Someone just farted.
you have poop on your floor somewhere that you just don't want to clean up. Is there barf underneath this cushion?
Little Fifi makes messes sometimes.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
If you can't smell it, don't worry about it.
Walk around the paper.
Oh, I was skydiving one time, and like somebody brought their dog, and obviously it's a bad combo of they spread the chutes out. You know what I mean? They spread their parachutes out before they go inspect them and everything.
Right.
You can only imagine, like at 12,000 feet, you open the chute, and here comes the chute.
Whatever's above you gets platted with a dog turd. And with the guy's chute below you.
I don't know. I think that one there, that's another bad combo.
Yeah. Poop chute.
Yeah.
That's what I call it when I lay down toilet paper in there before I go. Before I make.
Now that is a poop chute.
Poop chute.
Wow. All right. What else we got?
And what can we segue into from that?
We're going to move on here. We have some marijuana news. Got some news for you. There was, you guys have been hearing about Lansing. They have a proposal on the ballot there for decriminalization. This is for adults 21 and over in the Michigan capital city. Basically, it could be legalized by voters in November. And the State Journal's got a questionnaire out right now asking the candidates for mayor and the city council how they felt about this. So some of the candidates generally had strong support for the marijuana laws. There's a candidate respond here. The issue of legalized marijuana has the support of the majority of citizens running for office. And Lansing's current mayor, Verge Bernero, says he believes it is time to stop the senseless waste of public resources prosecuting the personal use of marijuana in small quantities on private property. So
yeah, got to have the urge for the Verge. Get the Verge going.
The lone supporter of the ballot among mayoral candidates, and of course, each council race features proponents of the proposed law. I think obviously this is a good measure. It's on private property. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're gonna have people, or
Right.
You're not decriminalizing so that you can just go smoke on the city bus or down at the local park.
No.
And likewise, you're not supposed to be drinking alcohol in public either. So it's just
Usually people that use marijuana know where they should use marijuana.
Well, I mean, it's just personal rights, keeping it personal, allowing you to use your personal rights.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting here. Second ward council candidate Tina Houghton. She stated prohibition never worked for alcohol, certainly isn't working for cannabis. Good.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to see some officials
Making statements.
Yeah, stepping out there, or at least, I think a lot of public officials shared the public sentiment, that we've seen so prevalent around here that, marijuana should be treated differently. And
Right.
It's nice to see them have enough guts to come up in a public setting and speak the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whereas before, you behind closed doors and meetings, hey, yeah, we totally agree with you,
Yeah.
but, and then in front of the camera, in front of the news reporter, being totally reserved, switching up the story.
Flipping the script.
Sure, and so now it's just more and more people now are feeling more comfortable to be able to step up in that public limelight, especially when they're running for office,
Right.
and say, hey, this is we're following the will of the public if they don't personally agree, and
it's the majority. You're dumb to not get those votes.
True, you'd think.
Mm-hmm. Votes is what counts to those people. Oh man, I'm trying to quit smoking, Jeremy. It's killing me. It's killing me.
I see you got the vape pen there.
But if anybody out there sees me smoking a cigarette after next Tuesday, shot me in the throat, please.
Slap them right in the...
Yeah, not one of these though. Don't get all willy-nilly and just sneak up behind me and shot me.
Now that's a vape pen there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'll probably be still using one of these for a couple weeks, but...
Oh, good luck to you, man. Definitely.
Thank you. It's tough.
Yeah, I saw
26 years.
Wow. Well, good luck, dude.
Quit.
Don't quit quitting.
I've quit quitting before. I quit before over 40 days. It was pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
And you went back to it after 40 days.
Yeah, because I smoked a Marlboro Red instead of a American Spirit, and it didn't do it. So I smoked another one, and then it was just myself being dumb.
And that's all it took. It's 2 cigarettes, and boom, you're back on the...
I smoked 3 cigarettes that day. That was the problem. They say you can smoke 2 cigarettes a day and not be addicted to the nicotine. That's what they say.
Okay.
So.
Well, cigarettes are certainly addictive. I mean, I could tell you from experience being a cigarette smoker myself. I mean, compared to cannabis, there is no comparison.
Right.
I mean...
Did you hear the thing that's going on the internet now about Oreos being as addictive as cocaine?
No.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, I didn't read the full article. I just saw a couple, splashes around here, and I was like, I mean, I'd take them. I mean, that's like one of those things I could say. I could take them and leave them, if they're around.
Cocaine or Oreos?
Oreos. Coke, I never tried Coke, no. I thought the idea of putting something powdery up your nose was always kind of a bizarre idea.
I'm not really into putting anything up my nose.
Yeah, I
don't even put my finger up there. I use tissue.
Right.
Well, I just thought it was bizarre. I mean, it's like I don't know. I never. And then besides, I mean, all the crap that's added to Coke. I mean, that's probably worse for you than the cocaine, the powder from the cocoa leaves anyway.
Right. But it's white. It's pure.
Yeah, It's a dirty drug. You ever see what people do? How it eats away their nasal cavities and crap like that. Ugh.
Yep, I had some experience with that when I was a child. Yeah.
I've heard that Oreos are extremely unhealthy, though.
Hard to snort Oreos.
Yeah, very hard to snort it. Yeah.
The chunk
I guess
is horrible.
The cookie part's easier than the stuffing, though.
Well, the filling that for an Oreo, I think, is basically lard or shortening or something.
Well, I think back in the day that's what it used to be, but now I think it's made out of like a much more synthetic type of product.
Would you ever look at red licorice, for example, or black licorice now? I mean, do you ever look at that? It looks like a form of plastic, really. I mean, I like licorice, but I wonder what the hell I'm eating. I mean, it's like, this looks like a lot, like it's plastic, it's shiny. I mean, plastic looking, it's shiny, the twist and stuff like that. Yeah, it looks like a plastic you're eating,
Right.
I agree.
They're getting us used to it.
Yep.
Those going to be plastic chunks.
I think that there is like some sort of plastic something
right
in the Oreo stuffing.
Well, chocolate's got wax in it. So it's a special type of wax, but I mean, the better quality, I guess, has small amounts of it. Not as much as the poorer qualities of chocolate, but we eat a lot of bizarre stuff. I mean, because we want to look a certain way, and we're just. You never stop and think of what the hell's in this.
Well, it's kind of like going back to the Febreze thing. I mean, with food nowadays, if it tastes good, we're dumb enough to eat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's usually got to be sweet, or it's got some kind of, or salty. That's the.
Yeah. I mean, sweet or salty is usually the name of the game, but I mean, we don't really take into account what that is actually made out of, where it came from, how it was processed. It's just, man, if it tastes good, I'm going to eat it. And we're kind of like a dog to antifreeze. We're just. Yeah. Most of us are just too dumb or too stubborn or too lazy, whatever it is, I
think tapioca roots, if it's the stuff we get tapioca from, if it's not processed correctly, it can be deadly.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be.
Lots of things. Cashews are like that. Cashews are like a big thing, surrounded by poison.
Right.
And each one, they have to
Really?
Yeah.
I guess the potato leaves. A little bit
more respect for
potato leaves. I guess could be really harmful if you eat them. Yeah. Right.
Potato leaves. Oh, well, you want to make
rhubarb. The rhubarb leaves, they can cause you like intestinal distress or something like that if you eat them.
Wow.
The stalk's okay, but I think it's oxalic acid or something.
We won't even notice that something's killing. We'll continue to eat it, like the dog with the antifreeze. Same thing. They don't know that that's what's hurting them.
Yeah, till it's too late.
Yep. And then they're at the doctor complaining, "What's going on? Why are my bowels falling out? I live on Oreos. All I do is snort them, Doc, I swear."
I don't know how this is affecting my digestive system.
What's wrong with a Krispy Kreme burrito? Hey.
Krispy Kreme burrito. Actually sounds good.
Yeah.
I want a Krispy Kreme burrito.
Let's go there.
It's just...
Yeah, and we'd eat one right now. If somebody brought in a couple Krispy Kreme burritos, we'd try it.
I was watching some program the other day, and the whatever the guy touched, it would decay. So like he goes to eat a sandwich, and it just decays, and it's like some zombie thing. So he goes, finally, the last thing he grabs in the line of food is a Twinkie. And he grabs a Twinkie, and it doesn't change. He eats it. He's like, oh, cool.
That's awesome.
It was all done decaying. It's not going to decay.
That's funny. Reminds me of Skittles. I seen some stupid thing on the 5-second rule. They dropped a bunch of candy on the ground and then picked it up and tested it, whatever. Apparently Skittles has 12 seconds. 12-second rule with Skittles before a bacteria can attach itself to it.
Wow.
That's weird in itself. Like, why? Does it have some sort of force field, these Skittles?
I didn't even realize somebody was actually trying to prove the 5-second rule. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean,
It might have been on Mythbusters or something. Like, yeah, it was like a serious, they took it serious.
okay. It's got to be relevant to what you dropped it onto. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, I think it was a sidewalk.
Okay, they're relatively clean.
Mm.
This is probably, if you're on the pig farm,
Yeah.
you're like,
It's going to be a little different, right?
oh, whoa, hey, no, it's 5
Don't want to eat the
seconds.
Skittle. Not at all. Don't eat the Skittle. Like, forget about the Skittle at that
5
point.
seconds.
Right.
Come on.
Just pig poop. Just get it off there. It's fine. I'm tired.
Wash it off in 5 seconds. Maybe that's the deal.
Maybe.
I don't know. But Skittles, I think, are one of those Oreo types of food. Like, what is actually a Skittle?
Yeah. It's made out of rainbows, from what I hear.
And they look like plastic too. I mean, little plastic buttons,
I think they are.
Yeah. Do you know the teeth and stuff? Like I bet you Don has come up with that stuff like Laffy Taffy. They're sitting around saying, we got to have a good, a good income, so they come up with that stuff. So guaranteed to rip out all your dental work. I
know people that have like Jolly Ranchers that have removed their own teeth.
Yeah.
Biting into a Jolly Rancher and then pop it right out.
No, it's those things are horrible.
Healthy teeth.
Yeah. You thought they were anyway.
Yeah.
All right, I have some news for you, I guess. We talked a little bit about this on our program a couple weeks ago about the industrial hemp farmer out in Colorado.
Yes.
And I know we were talking earlier about this week, Toby. This guy, he planted some industrial hemp out in Colorado. His name is Ryan Laughlin. And now he doesn't have a permit. There's no special law for him to do this, but he just decided to go ahead and do it anyways. I guess there's legislation on the table in Colorado to permit industrial hemp farming. But Ryan said he wasn't going to wait for that and went ahead and planted his crop, and I guess right now he's in the process of harvesting.
All right. Go.
Be proactive, you know what I mean? Now hemp obviously is like marijuana's third cousin. They're from the same plant, copia, and but it's not something that gets you high. It's an industrial type purpose. Well, one of the questions I had was, how Ryan's harvest was going. As I understood, he was not able to use typical harvesting type machinery, like a combine you see out here in the fields and so on. I guess the way that the machine's set up just wasn't working for his hemp crop.
It's a tough plant.
Well, yeah, and obviously every crop's got its own particular set of machinery that goes with it. You're not going to harvest a soybean the same way you're going to harvest a corn. And same thing with marijuana, or not marijuana, hemp, as we're calling it. But at any rate, turns out he planted 55 acres of the stuff, and he's doing his harvest by hand, going straight up old school.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's a trooper, this guy.
Definitely. So very interesting. I guess one of the questions I had, though, about the situation was this guy, he goes and plants America's first hemp crop. And, as a country, we ship in industrial hemp products and industrial hemp to process in this country all the time.
Right.
In fact, I've got some facts here for you.
Well, you said first, but it's not the first. It hasn't been that long since they were growing hemp in America, right?
I guess it's the first acknowledged crop in more than 5 decades, according to the article I've got here.
All right.
So, there may have been other hemp crops that have been grown in the United States, but nothing that has been on the radar,
Gotcha.
so to speak. And again, this is something that's used for agricultural, industrial type applications. So it's not like you're going to have some type of closet hemp grower,
Right.
And then people aren't going to just grow a hemp plant out in the field. You may see some growing indigenously, you know what I mean, like something that's just nature's growing it all on its own.
Right.
But this isn't something that people are going to be trying to steal, harvest, grow, guerrilla grow, if you will.
Right.
It's just not, doesn't have any type of hallucinogenic or psychoactive type properties to it, or the amount that is there, it's so minute that it's just not even usable to anyone. So
I can't imagine somebody sitting around the parking lot of a hardware store and going, "Psst, hey buddy, you want to buy some rope?" I just can't see that.
That's just it. So right now, I guess we import in 2011. There's a report here that we imported 11.5 million worth of hemp products, which was up from 1.4 million in 2000. So
Wow.
in a 10-year increase or 10-year span, the importation of hemp products went up by $10 million. So definite market for growth. Now it seems here that Colorado has passed their law, but they won't start passing out licenses until 2014. So he did kind of jump the gun there, but it looks like they're not giving him any problems. I haven't heard any reports of him being busted or arrested, which I think is appropriate. What are you going to do? Bust this guy for growing something that's going to be turned into a granola bar or something like that? I guess most of the products are is the hemp seed that's produced from it, and the hemp oil that's also produced from it, which is turned into soaps, lotions, and even cooking oil. Mm-hmm. And you can go to like places like the Whole Foods Market or other organic type grocers and find various hemp products. You've got hemp protein out there, which you can mix into your drinks. There's hemp milk. I've tried that. It's actually quite delicious.
I've noticed an increase in it, even in a regular grocery store.
And those types of products, I don't know if you're aware or not, but they actually contain a more well-rounded approach to nutrition than some of your other traditional type products, like comparing milk, for example. Regular dairy milk obviously contains fat, protein, and so forth. But if you look at the hemp milk, it contains a higher concentrate of protein, a more well-rounded mix of vitamins and nutrients, minerals, and so forth that are in there, and some of the omega fatties that are found, like in fish and nuts, are found in the hemp milk. So I tried it myself. I thought it was, like I said, delicious. By itself, it has like a really earthy, kind of a nutty flavor to it. It doesn't have the milk. It's kind of different. It has the milky texture, I guess, consistency to it. A little bit thicker than water, But the flavor wasn't bad. And then actually I got a little experimentation with it. And I put in a spoonful of maple syrup. And it was outstanding, man. It tasted like walnut pie or something. It was, I couldn't wait to have more.
I would definitely check that out.
There's hemp tortilla chips, hemp seeds coated in chocolate, and hemp seeds actually are a whole food. They contain protein, carbohydrates, and omega fatties in there. So, truth be told, you could actually live on hemp seeds very healthily.
That's probably one of the reasons they pushed it back for years, trying to get other industries started in that same thing.
Well, I mean, think about it. What other, like if you had an acre of property to grow on, and we were just talking about some of the blighted properties that are being turned into agricultural areas in the city of Flint. But if you had just a small area, maybe a city lot size, or maybe a little larger, up to an acre, and you could grow something on there that you could actually live on, what products or what plants could you grow right now in Michigan and have that result? Can you think of any? Other than hemp.
Other than hemp, right. No.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you can live on avocados, which you're not going to grow too well here in Michigan. If you grew a whole yard of wheat and all you ate was wheat, you wouldn't have any protein, so that wouldn't turn out very well for yourself. But really, there isn't a whole lot.
That's a toughie.
Well, and I think a lot of times people talk about, the founding fathers, and talking about the quotes that they had, like Thomas Jefferson or George Washington, plant the hemp seed, grow it everywhere, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it was used for things like John said, making rope and clothing, so on and so
Yeah.
forth. But I think one of the things that we miss out on a lot is the hemp seed, and it was used as a food product.
Yeah,
I mean, it can be
many
ground
ways.
down into flour and
Yeah.
made into various sorts of other types of breads that we use, or like tortilla chips, like I mentioned.
Well, I was at the
Cereals.
Ann Arbor Art Fair 2 years ago. I bought some, and it'd been a pretty good sized bag of them, and really good. I mean, they were really good. They were tasty. They're crunchy. They were really good. I mean, I can imagine mix them up with like maybe oatmeal or something like that, along with flaxseed. I mean, you'd have like a full roughage. You'd have all that stuff. You'd
Yeah.
have everything all the doctors tell you to have, and they're low calorie.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty low calories. So and fill you up. If you don't feel hungry, it's a good stuff. I mean, I just think it's stupid that they're continually not allowing people just to grow the damn stuff. I mean, it gets exasperated because what are they so afraid of? What are they so afraid of? How much do they have
Not
to smoke?
seeing our money.
How much do they have to try to smoke to actually make any difference on a person's behavior or something? It's obscene. I mean,
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can either. I mean, you
Yeah.
can smoke it. I mean, it will dry it, but I mean, I don't think it'd have the effect.
Yeah, I think you probably just smoke yourself to death
Yeah.
from smoke
Yeah.
and not get any kind of high at all, right? Just get a splitting headache or something like that.
But it is still connected in people's minds, like reefer madness. The old timers. There's no difference to them. Marijuana and hemp.
Well, and they are the same species,
Right.
but it's just that they're cultivated differently, and to enhance or reduce the psychoactive chemical in there. Interesting. Down here it says here in the late 50s, which was down from a peak in 1943, the U.S. Department of Agriculture recorded 150 million pounds was produced on over 146,000 acres, and that was industrial hemp production in the 1950s.
Right.
So.
Yeah,
Kinda
it hadn't
interesting
been too long. That's
I
why I
know
was
that-
kind of surprised when you said first.
During World War II, there was a shortage of certain like cecil and other types of stuff. That's the reason why they went to nylon, because the places that they got that cecil and other stuff to make rope out of was controlled by the Japanese or some other powers that be. So they had to do without, and that's what caused an increase in nylon ropes and all that stuff. But I mean, cecil and stuff is still preferred because it doesn't burn your hands as bad if you have to use it. It doesn't. I mean, obviously nylon's got its advantage. It doesn't rot as easily,
Right.
but it does also break down to UV exposure.
Well,
So,
I mean, as far as being earth friendly or being a green product, nylon certainly isn't.
Right.
It's an oil-based product.
The opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I was interested in knowing like how well is this turning out for this farmer. Was he able to actually have a market for his hemp?
Right.
And it turns out he certainly does. He says every part of the plant he's been having his phone ring off the hook and has been able to sell every single part of his plant, even the roots. People are buying
Amazing.
the roots from. So
Yeah, I heard that they were turning root balls into like dog chew toys and stuff. Dog bones.
it's certainly a real strong fibrous material, so it should be used for a lot of stuff. There's kind of interesting here. This guy's name is Ron Carlton. He's the Colorado Deputy Agricultural Commissioner, and he's the one who's heading up the state's looming hemp license. He said he has no idea what hemp's commercial potential is, and that he's not sure how many farmers will sign up for the program next year. But he's fielded a fair number of inquiries. So it looks like there's a number of people out there in Colorado that are certainly interested. This is from the Associated Press article I was reading from here. You can check it out yourself on cannabisnews.org. But I think that's fantastic. I mean,
There's definitely a market, man. Even the younger generation's definitely into hemp products, hemp clothes, whatever. I own a few hemp hats, things like that. So hopefully they'll start making more useful, textiles and stuff out of it, of course. And I also seen a show where they made a whole entire house out of hemp, like down to the fridge, everything except the wire itself, but even the coating on the wires in the house were made out of hemp.
yeah, like and the structure too, the flooring, the walls,
Oh yeah, wood.
roofing material.
Yeah, you can get. It must be like a metalish looking. I don't know how they're making it, but even the outside of the fridge, and it looked, maybe it was just hard plastic. But
It's almost, from what I've seen, it comes
resinous.
out to be like a very similar product like fiberglass,
Yeah.
where they take the fibers and they can make them sort of bond with the resin
right.
and then sand it down. I know that it's used
Yeah,
in
it's
car
awesome.
doors and stuff like that, and quite a few different products. Mercedes, Lotus, a couple other manufacturers out there
Nice.
use it in their car parts because it's extremely strong,
Mm-hmm.
low cost to produce compared to like steel, and then very light as well.
Yeah.
So for vehicles, it works out quite
That's
well.
good that there's big names using it off the bat. That helps.
Oh,
Get the ball
absolutely.
rolling.
And the United States is one of the few countries, I think it's the only industrialized country that doesn't produce their own hemp.
It's
products.
ridiculous.
Just simply import it.
Yeah, if there's that many, how much did you say? 10, 11 million or something? Last
Yeah.
year?
And that was
Yeah.
in 2000.
That could be staying here. And it would be more than that because there would be jobs created by doing so. And that's just what we're spending to get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more.
And obviously, and that's hemp products, not just hemp itself. So if we were producing it ourselves, then obviously we could turn that back around and then have production
Yeah.
created from that to actually produce the products here rather than just shipping them in. I know I've wanted to get some of the hemp clothing that you're mentioning, and I was kind of prohibited just because of the high cost of it. But
It is
it's
pricey,
due to the fact that you're paying somebody else do that. If we could
It's
have
the
it done
quality,
right here
Last forever.
in the United States, maybe it'd come out a little cheaper or something.
yeah.
But yeah, I know a pair of jeans now, they don't last too long, and
Right.
mostly made from cotton and so forth. I mean, if you had hemp, they might be a little stiff at first, but
Yeah.
break them in.
An observation my friend made, she was from England, the clothing Americans get is that it wears out really quick. She buys stuff in Europe, in England, that lasts a lot longer than the stuff we get.
Oh, yeah.
Like 12, 15 washings, jeans are pretty much ratted out.
It's all the
serious.
chemicals. They put them through chemical baths and this and that and different things. Yeah, unnecessary processes.
Well, then they get them stonewashed.
Right, stone washed, acid washed. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, we used to buy jeans, and you have to, they're all made here, yeah, in the United States, Wrangler, Levi, and all those. You'd have to wash the hell out of them. Until they started getting where you could be comfortable, and after about 5 years,
Right.
they're getting comfortable. But, I mean, they were basically putting on boards,
Built to last.
Yeah, literally. I mean,
Yeah, like
you watch them all
glass set.
stiff-legged. You had
Well, yeah,
proper
and then
posture.
the early 90s there, that's when the stonewash became the popular thing, and had to have them all
Yeah, beating the hell out
beat
of
up
them.
looking. They come with tears and rips on them, charge you extra for it. They still do.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I got a 16-year-old daughter. I know all about it.
Does she peg her jeans? Is that coming back yet?
No, she doesn't peg them, but she does wear, like, tights or
Tight
skinny.
jeans,
Yeah, skinny.
I've seen that.
She's not into the bell-bottom flare, boot
Right.
flare, boot cut, whatever. None of that.
No flares.
No.
Uh,
Even the boys, though, the skaters, they like the skinny jeans apparently because they only come up to here and they keep their legs stiff and they can only do certain tricks. She was trying to explain to me, like I was ragging on the kids.
oh,
Some boys for wearing the skinny jeans, and that's the only way they can do tricks on their skateboards.
really?
It kind of made sense, I guess, but
That doesn't make sense to me.
so well, yeah, if you're all like peg-legged, and I mean, I don't know.
It seems to me like you'd be able to, do more tricks if you could move freely. But hey,
Yeah,
I came from the day when skaters were wearing cargo pants,
baggy pants,
big baggy
yeah.
pants, and
Right.
big oversized shorts and
Can't
stuff
relate.
like
Parachute pants.
that. I don't know. I don't think the skaters were wearing parachute pants back then. But
I did.
you're a trend
That's a
breaker.
special
You're a mold
case.
breaker.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit last week about the Van Terbeek case.
Yes.
The Supreme Court was hearing arguments about this case. This is the attorney from Wyoming, Michigan, who, according to the Wyoming City Ordinance, they're basically disallowing him to take advantage of his medical marijuana law here in Michigan. So they're saying, okay, anybody in the city limits of Wyoming, Michigan, you can't have your medical marijuana.
Is that a moratorium? Is that what that's considered? Like the
I
town?
think it wasn't a moratorium. It was an actual ordinance that they passed, kind of like a zoning
Okay.
ordinance. So they're trying to zone him out, basically saying that you can't have this in the area.
Gotcha.
So he's an attorney, and he decided to take his case to the court, and now it's in front of the Supreme Court. So they heard arguments about this last week, and so we're waiting. We'll probably have to wait a month or two for a decision on that. But interesting note, there's a similar thing going on out in Arizona, and the Arizona counties had some areas that they were trying to do the same thing, where they're saying, okay, we're not going to allow,
Right.
state legal dispensaries or, these shops. They weren't going to allow them, even though they were state authorized, to be existent in their county. And it turns out that a judge ruled yesterday that they do have to allow them. in Arizona. So the
They're pretty
counties.
tough out there, though. Out in Arizona. I'm surprised it even flew at all. Like, I used to live out there, and it was zero tolerance. If you bought a used car and got pulled over on the way home and the cop dug in the seat and found some seeds or something, you were going to jail for a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you're in possession of anything, you was in
This
trouble.
is sounds like maybe a little bit of a turnaround, or maybe not, but it basically is enforcing their state law, and enforcing, or mandating that counties also have to enforce the state law by saying, look, if we decide that a dispensary should be licensed in a certain area, as a state, the county doesn't have the right to block that or to stop it. So, kind of interesting. And they were basically trying to do the same thing here. The county that took the case to court is Maricopa County, and they essentially banned the dispensaries in their area on the grounds that they were federally illegal. And I think the case here in Michigan is almost the exact same type of scenario. It's a city, not a county, but same sort of thing. You've got a state law saying that an individual in this case versus an entity, has the right to take advantage of the state law.
Right.
And it seems kind of redundant, but that's what it says. And so the city is stepping in and saying, no, because it's illegal on a federal level, we don't have to honor the state law. And so our state Supreme Court is taking a look at that for our level. And, I think that it's a very interesting case. It could have some pretty broad repercussions if they were to come out and say, well, no, states don't have to follow the state law, or cities and towns don't have to follow the state law. They can choose and pick which ones they want to follow. They can pick their own ordinances, and it's up to them to govern that. On one hand, I'm all about local control and allowing the citizens of a local place to make decisions that are best for themselves. On the other hand, when it comes down to protecting someone's individual personal rights, what they choose to do in their own home, I think that people need to be respected in that regard, and allow people to observe the state law and to take advantage of the state law,
right,
if that's what it is. I can understand if it's a commercial entity or something outside of the home,
right,
but if it's permitted by state government or state law and it's in the privacy of someone's own home, I think that they should be able to do that.
Well, that's the problem. They're messing with people just coming through their town or whatever, trying to scare tactics. That happened over in Lapeer. They did it to my friend, just driving on the expressway through their place. So that's be the mayhem that happens, is them trying to figure out, I don't know, that should only apply to the citizens of their town then. I mean, if you're not from there, it shouldn't apply.
Well, I don't think it should apply at all if you're talking about, especially in this case, we're talking about what someone does in their own home.
Oh, I thought you were talking about dispensaries.
Well, that's what the Arizona law is for. And so theirs is even more broad than what here we're facing in Michigan.
Gotcha. Yeah, they definitely don't have any right to tell anybody what they do with their own home, especially if the state says it's okay what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, provided it's legal. Obviously,
Yeah.
You just can't kill somebody in your own home.
Of course.
I'm in my house. Do what I want.
City ordinance.
But I mean, that is the issue. I mean, how can you tell somebody, look, here's a state law. It says, let's change the subject. Let's say it's like drinking, okay?
Right.
Drinking alcohol, and they say, well, this is a dry county. We're not going to allow the sale of alcohol in our county. And then they take it a step further and say, well, we're also not going to allow you to drink in our county. Well,
yeah, that's
okay, obviously if you're out at the restaurant, you're not going to be able to take your bottle of whiskey with you, and they're not going to be able to serve you there. But if you're in your own home, state law says you can have a drink if you want.
right.
And so for the city to step in and say, well, we've decided that alcohol is illegal here, and you can't do that in your own
Right.
home. You can see how
that's
this is just, it's
too
a
much.
violation of personal rights at that point.
Yeah, the same thing, like on a gun level. Same thing. Feds say you can have a gun. If there was a city that said, if our citizens could own guns, like you can't have one in your house for
Yeah, can
possession.
you imagine the outrage that would happen here in Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
it would be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
It's all the same thing. I mean, it's all relevant.
And I think you're bringing up a good point, Toby. I mean, this particular case here, it's not just about medical marijuana.
Right.
It's about personal rights and who decides and when does this get decided, how is it decided, that someone can observe or obey their own personal privileges or rights, and then not have a local authority or entity come in and say, well, no, we don't do that here.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to know what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? The people are just going to be confused and getting in trouble, not trying to get in trouble. They're trying to do what they're supposed to.
And again, we're talking about what these people can do in their own home.
It's almost like a mom and dad thing. Like, mom says you can do one thing, dad says no, and then you go back to mom.
Yeah.
But dad said this. Right.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%. I mean, I can understand the lawsuit here by the attorney, him stepping up and bringing this case forward and saying, look, we need to have some clarification here on who's got the authority, and at what point do you stop and say, well, look, we have to abide by the state law and allow citizens to take advantage of this, in their own home.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite, I don't know. It's going to be an issue.
Yeah, hopefully they get it resolved.
Yes. So I guess in Arizona, based on this case here, I would say that this Michigan State Supreme Court has got to, decide in the favor of Terbeek, the attorney, and say, look, this guy's got the right to do, what is legal in his own home, despite the fact that the city doesn't like it.
Right.
If you look at Arizona, again, they were talking about dispensaries being licensed in a county when the state said it was okay and the county said no. This is something that's going on outside of someone's home.
Right.
And in Michigan, we're talking about all the way down to that personal, individual level, and for them to come in and say, well, no, you can't do what's legal by the state in your own home because we don't like that here. It's preposterous.
You can't spank your own kids.
So, and I don't know. I would like to know, how does it work? You got a local city. Obviously, the city of Wyoming's not real big. Most of us are like, Wyoming, what are you talking about Wyoming for? It's not even in our state. It is. It's a little tiny town outside of Grand Rapids. But, how much is that city spending on this court case? How does that work out when it comes down to finances? Taking it all the way to the Supreme Court here in Michigan. Is that a valuable use of their resources?
Of course not.
To try to block what people do in their own home in the city of Wyoming. Certainly they have the ability to zone for businesses, just like they always have,
right.
Or organizations, however they choose, however they see is fit for their area. If they want every store in their town to have a Western theme to it, or if they want every business in their town to have a gold star on their door. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Not that they do that. But outside of the home, I can understand having some type of ordinance to things.
Right.
That's what it's all about. But inside that to me is just insane.
Yeah, it is. That's where there is no freedom after that. If you can't be free to do what they tell you can do in your own home, then there is truly no freedom left.
Yeah.
That's it.
I agree.
There's no farther to go.
Yeah, definitely. This case is really it's a lot bigger than the surface. This really cuts down to individual rights and whether or not you have the freedoms that are already, afforded to you. They're already written in law. And then for a local city ordinance to step in and say, well, no, we don't like that. You can't do that. It just blows my mind that they would even have the audacity to do that, let alone, continue to take it all the way up the ladder to the Supreme Court. Just
control freaks.
Yeah, I don't know. If I was in the city of Wyoming, I would be upset about this.
Oh yeah.
I would think that it's just taking it too far. Crazy.
I'd put my house up for sale.
Boom.
Yep. See you guys later. You figure that one out without me.
Well, here's an interesting story. This kind of goes along the same lines, but this is out in L.A. And I guess last year they had a vote to pass what was called Measure D. And this was in regards to marijuana dispensaries in the city of Los Angeles. I guess they had influx of dispensaries out there. Had over 1,000, according to the city attorney's office, out there that were in operation. Cannabis retailers, if you will.
Wow.
in the city of Los Angeles. And I guess a May ballot initiative that only allows 135 or fewer was passed. So it looks like the citizens passed this back in May of last year. So it looks like now that City Hall is actually starting to move on this. And according to Toke of the Town, they have 38 dispensaries that are already targets for being shut down due to the voter-approved ban. So, interesting there.
How are they going to pick them?
Well,
first come, first serve.
And I think that has something to do with it. Some of these dispensaries have been open in operation for quite some time. They were opened while the city was allowing them to be opened.
Right.
And as I understood it, there was a moratorium that was passed, preventing further openings.
Right.
And then the moratorium lapsed. The city council didn't approve to extend it, didn't make an ordinance to adjust for it. And then once it lapsed, it just, boom, blew up.
Wow.
And so everybody was opening up these dispensaries across town, anywhere they wanted, however they wanted. And it looks like the citizens of LA kind of fought back and said, hey, this is out of control. There's a dispensary on every corner now,
right.
Literally. And, while we don't want people to not have access to medication, we do need to put some type of limitations on it so that it's not out of control. And
I agree.
And they did. It's what they passed.
Doesn't need to turn into Weedville.
Well, and I think it's just moderation. It makes sense. You do need to have moderation in everything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't allow every corner to be a bar. There's certain areas for certain businesses to be established at, and the city of LA is not doing anything different here. So, the market may call for more, and if it does, then I'm sure the city will amend their ordinances accordingly.
Right.
In the future. But I guess if you have a ballot initiative that's put through by the voters, you got to listen to that. That's what the people there want.
Well, what's the worst case scenario? You have to drive another mile to get your medication?
Well, it says here, 135, potentially up to 135 stores are still being allowed to operate and be open. So, and that's within the city limits of LA. I
think they'll be fine.
I think there'd be enough choice there for them. Actually, we have a similar thing going on here in Flint. We had a number of collectives, dispensaries, whatever you want to call them, safe access centers in Flint open up. City passed a moratorium, and then the moratorium lapsed, and a number of other ones sprang up in the interim. And so the city's already said, look, we're going to go back, we're going to pass an ordinance here in the city of Flint that will limit the number of these, will control how they're operated. And they have also set forth that the places that were already open prior to this ordinance that may be passed in the near future, that they'd be grandfathered in. So
right,
it's a cooperative atmosphere here in the city of Flint, and we certainly appreciate the city council, recognizing that patients do have to have places to access medication, that these create safe environments for them.
right.
And I think it also helps keep crime off the streets. I mean, not that you have people manipulating the system here, but that you have a safe area where patients can go to access their medication, that control the business. You don't want to have people dealing in back alley parking lots and so forth.
Right.
There was a story about a man up north recently that was robbed at his own home. He was growing outdoors, according to state law, minding his own business,
right.
Abiding by the law. And unfortunately, he was accosted by a couple of different people with guns and was having his crop stolen. So a pretty tragic story there. So that's something that we've always told people at the Compassion Club, that
right.
Just because you're doing something that's legal, you need to really make sure you're looking at it from all angles and protecting yourself, especially for those of you that are gardening, that have the possession of your own plants and you're growing your cannabis. You want to make sure that your garden is well protected and set up carefully.
Yes.
To ensure your own safety. You know what I mean? Whether that be the use of security, some type of security systems, or just simply, making sure you're using simple measures such as like making sure you're not just sucking all the air in your garden and blowing it right outside for your whole neighborhood to smell.
Right.
That's a concern, and it's definitely something that you have to take into consideration. and taking the proper precautions. It's just there to help keep you safe.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to grow on your front porch, Keep it a little...
Or, like somebody's got a bedroom set up as a grow room, and, hey, buy a set of shades.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Or,
people are just blatant about it. Yeah, be a little cautious.
Absolutely.
You never know who wants what you have.
So, don't advertise it, walking around and bragging about this and that. Your mouth, what is this, loose lips sink ships?
Yep.
And then it's something else to be concerned with. All right. Enough about that.
Well, it is the case. People get up and then they want to act like they have everything. And people get jealous and start hating, and that's what happens. Not everybody has it good. So
pop goes the weasel.
If you have it good, don't tell everybody you have it good.
Let's see, our neighbors to the south, Florida. Looks like we've had a lot of people asking us, and we get a lot of our some of our patients have the dual residency thing going on, spending the winters in the warmer climates, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, hey man, when I go to Florida, I can't have my medication. This sucks.
Yeah.
So, here in 2014, I guess a Florida attorney by the name of John Morgan, he's an Orlando attorney, looks like a nice gentleman, donated $250,000 to campaign for medical marijuana legalization. And I know that there's a couple other different groups down there that are trying to organize as well in Florida for the same thing. So it looks like medical marijuana may have a shot, or a better shot at least, of getting somewhere in 2014 down in Florida.
Yeah, they need it down there for sure.
I guess it's the #1 state for prescription drug abuse.
Right.
And maybe having an alternative down there for patients to use help curb some of that.
It will.
I'm certain that it would as well.
Yes.
A lot of other states now are really pushing too. Wisconsin, I know, is another one. Ohio is another state. So quite a few different states around the nation. It'd be interesting to see how many more states will be added on for medical marijuana patients, in the next 5 years.
Right.
We're already up to like 17 states, I think it is.
Right, but there's a few that are going for legalization this year, right?
I don't think they actually made it on the ballot.
Okay.
I know that there's Vermont has got some type of decrim measure, Massachusetts as well. So
I think as soon as people start legalizing it, as soon as states start legalizing it, then we're, I think it's just going to roll across the board. Everybody will follow suit. If more than half the country wants it, there's no reason.
Well, I think
that's basic politics.
We're at that tipping
people
point.
What they want.
There's already, if you take up the states that already have medical marijuana available, legal, the majority of the population of the country is in those states.
Right.
So, by that number, we already have it. It is a matter of time. Every single state, not every single state, but majority of the states out there seem to be looking at either a decrim measure,
right,
a medical marijuana measure, or just outright legalization. And I know that the Supreme Court recently turned down ASA's request. Americans for Safe Access recently turned down their request to have marijuana decriminalized, but there's countless other petitions in line behind that that are asking for the same thing. So, and then there's a number of bills right now in the Fed level to either decriminalize or adjust other types of medical marijuana laws, like either sentencing or maybe has something to do with banking, allowing banks to actually do business with medical marijuana.
And all the states that have started, none of them have gotten worse, right? Like, they've always progressed towards the decrim.
Actually, in the state of, I believe it was Montana, they had a broader program than what they have now.
Oh, they reverted, huh?
Yep, so they had passed medical marijuana, the program grew, gained some headway, and then a couple years later the legislature trimmed back qualifying factors, how it was distributed and so forth, and made it a lot tougher to be in the program. So definitely something that...
there might have been a lot of abuse of the program in that particular state or something.
Well, I think some people, you had some bad apples out there that sort of ruined the bunch, And, that's something that we have seen here in our state occur as well, where people just sort of went at it with the wrong attitude. Oh, hey, it's a big hippie fest sort of thing, and kind of forgot about the fact that this is for medicinal purposes, that these are for people that, really have a necessity for this, for people that choose, want an alternative, and just kind of forgot about, the importance of what it is, the significance of having this law pass, and sort of just went, off the deep end, sort of thought that, let's just act like it's legalized.
Right.
And there's a big difference between the two. And I think for folks that are in the court system right now, they can attest to that.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you how big of a deal it is. So, obviously the safest thing for patients around the country is out and out legalization, and people who are using it for medicinal purposes really have nothing to worry about.
Right.
And we've seen that here in this state too, where there's some people out there that are being processed through the court system that are fighting and saying, hey, I'm using this for medicinal purposes, but yet they're being charged for criminal enterprises or criminal crimes.
Yeah.
And so I can understand people wanting to push forward and have that, but all right, I know we're running out of time here. Got one little tidbit for you. The Dalai Lama.
Uh-oh.
Yes. He has stepped forth and says that medical cannabis should be available to the sick and needy medical patients. So.
Yes.
Yes, he was in Mexico for the week. And then, another tidbit. I guess Mexico City is looking at possible legalization. So it is the largest city in North America.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Do it.
But even the Dalai Lama thinks so.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
We got a Dalai.
Endorsed by the Dalai Lama. G3C show.
Cool. Thanks for joining us this week. Appreciate it. It's always good to be here at flinttalkradio.com. If you'd like to have some questions answered, please feel free to join us here next week, Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. You can call us at 810-208-1854 or just email us your questions. Check us out. Stop by the club.
I almost forgot. We have a normal at the clubhouse this Friday, right?
That's right.
Yeah, they're having food, and it's like a member appreciation thing. So come down to the club this Friday. I don't know if there's a certain starting point. I think it starts at 4. Yes. After 4 o'clock. 4:20, actually. How could I forget that?
How could you forget?
How could I forget that?
4:20. Music and some food. And,
music, food. There's going to be a lawyer there to answer questions if you have any questions about the laws and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Mr. Matt Abel from the Cannabis Council.
Yes, sir.
Very cool.
You guys' website's still www.genesee3c.com, isn't it?
It still is.
Okay, so that's been scrolling on the banner too. So you got all that information up there too as well, right?
Fantastic. Oh, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, you guys. See you there Friday.
Cool. Thanks, guys.